Welcome back to another episode here on the Hart and Hustle podcast. Today's guest, she was just a kid organizing spices for a refugee family, and now she's running programs that shelter 7,000 people a year. Anat, that is amazing. You helped welcome a refugee family when you were just a kid. What do you remember about that moment that still lives in your bones today? I can only imagine that it's an easy story to go back to.
Absolutely. I didn't realize it at the time, but I just how impactful that experience was. But with my parents, as part of their temple, in the early 80s, we sponsored a family fleeing religious persecution from Russia. And we didn't have any connection to these folks other than a shared community and a shared hope. And as a kid, I remember my mom um, kind of looking through our weekly grocery list and figuring out how to squeeze in some spices for this family. And then I was helping to set up the apartment before they arrived. And I was organizing the spices on the spice rack, and I was helping to make the bed of a kid that was about my age who was coming to a brand new place and just having gone through so much. And it really showed me the power of what people who come together can do for each other. It doesn't have to be because we know somebody or they did something for us, but just that community, that faith and hope, and knowing the impact of safety. It really just hit me at my core.
So giving back has kind of been really passed on, right, from your mom and what she was doing, and now you get to do the same thing. Can imagine kids, a family, you're teaching them to do the same things. Just a better world for people like yourself. This, a leader. And before the master's degrees and before the executive title, when did you first feel that like this is my work? Do you remember?
Yeah, so after I graduated undergrad, I my first like real full-time job
Hmm.
was with a nonprofit that helps survivors of domestic violence and their children. And I worked in a transitional housing program. So, safe location, that war panic button on my neck, and really helped the moms and the kids like reground, take a breath, feel
Yeah.
safe, and work on their next steps. And then at that organization, I became part of setting up a visitation center. And it was through that work that I met social workers for the first time. And I was like, that's what I want to be when I grow up. Like, that's what it's called. And I applied for my master's in social work. Lucky enough to get into Columbia, and that brought me to New York. But that was really real, like where it cemented, like, oh, it's a thing.
This is it, yeah. I love that it wasn't about the paycheck, right? It was truly about, oh, I found purpose. I found purpose, right? Like I found what I could really do that doesn't even feel like work. To this day, does it ever feel like work? Everything that you're doing?
Uh, some days are harder than others, but I wouldn't be doing anything else.
Yeah, I actually for the running a board myself. So for the last 2 days, we've been dealing with a situation that's been a year and a half problem, and we finally got it resolved yesterday. Right, we took myself and the vice president said, you know what, we're just going to figure it out. We still had a member today says, "Hey, so where do I need to do this today?" I'm like, "It's taken care of. Like, let's go ahead and please let go of that problem because it was stressful. You're going into meetings and it's like the same conversation's over. And it's like, could we just please just get away from this?" So it is. Some days are definitely better than others. But it is cool. It's cool that you're in a space where we truly give back, because that's to me, it's what fills my cup. Do you feel that it feels do the same for you as well? Like it fills your cup?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And in those moments of hard, the thing that always kind of lifts me back up is being able to spend time with my staff and um, at the sites where the work is happening. And just to kind of see that, let go of some of the drama and the politics and all that stuff and reconnect. with the why.
What are some of your values as a leader?
So the first is authenticity. It took me a really long time to understand that I didn't have to be perfect. That was somehow my expectation of myself and no one else's.
Yep.
And so it took some time for me to take down my walls and show my real, and the great in that, and the messy, and the mistakes, and all of that. But being true to me, um, and showing that vulnerability with folks, um, really allows them to feel safe to show their truth to me. And this is with staff, this is with clients, it's really kind of with anyone. And it is so powerful to be able to um, offer safety through that authenticity to build
Hmm.
trust, and then do great things. Okay.
Oh yeah, another one. You got another one?
Always.
What's the other value? What's the other value?
Yeah. So integrity is another huge one for me. And that shows up in a lot of ways, and I think it can mean different things to different people. But for me, it means saying what I'm going to do and doing what I'm going to say, to be really dependable, and to own my stuff. When I make a mistake, it's really important that I name it, that I repair it, and that I learn from it. And if I'm able to do that, kind of in my position and title, I believe that it creates a sense of safety for others to do that as well. And really looking at mistakes as growth opportunities, and just keep it moving. Also, not getting stuck there.
I love the first one you said is authentic because truly, I think as a leader, you just have to be yourself, right? Like people work with people, and they can see through the BS when you're not yourself, or when you're just. I see a lot of people also micromanage as a leader, and I was like, why do you do that? You know, like you do not. You have great people. You just have to lead them to do the thing. You're not the smartest in the room, but some people just need leadership. Some people just need a foundation, a structure, and if we could be that for someone else, believe me, everything else kind of flows, and just being our true selves. But even being our true selves also helps on the front line, right? Like never to be afraid to ask us questions, to just come up to us. And I think that's also what happens when you're so real and you're just yourself. So I love that that was your first one because anytime I have a conversation, I'm like, I don't need the corporate side of you. I want the real side of you, right? Like, I don't know. That's like you get into corporate, and you almost become somebody that you're not, in a sense. I'm pretty sure you've seen that plenty of times, right? Lived it probably, because we have to. That's what we're. I think when I think about school, I think school teaches us that. They like you're gonna have this 9 to 5. You gotta do certain ways, and in reality, you go out in the world and realize like it's actually not like that. Or it's something that we created, and I'm happy that you now have a team of people that think like you because now we're actually building up leaders that are not having to put on a mask or play this role. I'm a COO. No, you're not the person that always loved doing what you're doing. You just now have a title.
Yeah.
So I like that. And now you're leading you're running one of the largest interim housing programs in Silicon Valley. How does this happen?
Yeah, it's been an amazing journey. And a bit of a roller coaster, right? As is, I think, life. um, but from my master's, I was in New York for 12 years, and I figured if I can like really succeed in social work in New York, then I can probably do it anywhere. I only had Sinatra in the back of my mind on that one, and it was wonderful. I learned so much. I became a clinical coordinator for a men's shelter on the Bowery, and kind of to your point that people can see through you and won't take any BS. Those folks and those experiences taught me so much, and I am so deeply grateful for that. Um, and just kind of kept growing. I loved working with clients, but I also really loved supporting staff, and there was a lot of crossover in how I could um, kind of use my skills to
Hmm.
do that in all the ways. And so uh, then I was ready for a change, and I came to San Francisco. And it was much more of a culture shock than I thought it would be. I
I
feel
love
like,
San Francisco.
yeah, it's wonderful, but there are some different communication styles here than in New York. And I kind of joke that the first thing I learned was to not honk my horn as a form of conversation because that was not how it was done here. Um,
Yeah, you New Yorkers, listen, I don't know what it is. I mean, it happens in Boston too. Just the horn is always going. I'm like, what is that? Doesn't happen in Florida. I'm just saying. That's you. If someone is beeping the horn at you, that's probably them cursing you out because you cut them off or something. But New
yeah,
Yorkers, it's just like the day, everyday thing.
yeah, it's a conversation. Um, Yeah, and
So,
so coming to San Francisco, I was lucky enough to be at the same company in New York for 12 years, and I feel like that's so unusual in our day. But I was looking for something similar, and I found an amazing organization that was supporting folks exiting homelessness, and I got to work with amazing people and just truly amazing clients. And then that chapter ended,
mhm.
and I found LifeMoves. And so I get to say that I'm new to Silicon Valley, but I'm not new to the work, and it's been really amazing to learn and bring my expertise at the same time.
Hey, real quick, if you enjoying the podcast, we first want to say thank you. And we also just want to give you a little insight of what we're up to at Francis. Some don't even realize that we're working with organizations to help them use AI to create that real human communication experiences, where that's actually supporting your families, those patients, or the entire community. We're actually creating tech that connects. Check it out, francis.ai. And you're overseeing now like 40 programs, if I'm not mistaken, from our past conversations.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
some of these programs consist of?
Yeah, so we do a lot of interim supportive housing, and that's what we call our shelter programs. And it's intentional because when folks think of shelter, you kind of think of, I don't know, maybe three hots on a cot, and not a lot of safety, and not necessarily a lot of
Mhm.
services or support. And that our work has evolved so far beyond that. And we're really proud and excited about our approach to serving folks who are unhoused.
Yeah.
So all of our new sites, we have over 2 dozen interim supportive housing sites from Daly City to San Jose.
Mhm.
And so spanning 2 counties and lots of people. So all of our new builds include private rooms, private bathrooms, and whenever possible, at least basic cooking facilities. And that is so powerful for someone coming in to be able to close their door, take a breath, take a shower, and sleep and have that security and safety um, as as they start moving forward in their goals. Um, so we do interim supportive housing, but we also do a ton of wraparound services. We have children's service specialists to work with our families with kids. We do mental health and behavioral health support, a lot of employment support. We have homeless prevention programs, amazing street outreach teams throughout San Mateo County. We also have some permanent housing programs, rapid rehousing. It really is this kind of amazing um, web of
Yeah, you guys
services.
don't. It's almost like you get every level kind of checked off the box, right? From the young kid to, like you meant, mental health, behavioral health. Like you really touch all aspects of life, if I would say. And I like that. I like that. And then you've also mentioned the last time I spoke to you that you guys were implementing AI, and really not to steal time, but to save time. What are some of the things that you're also exploring in that field? Because there's not a lot of nonprofits that are kind of advanced in the space of technology, especially something like AI. What are you guys doing over there?
Yeah, yeah. So we are dipping our toes into the AI waters, and I'm super excited about it. So we're working with a consultant to build, I'm not going to use the right words, but kind of build this AI universe that we get to populate with our um, evidence-based practices like harm reduction and trauma-informed care and strengths-based care, and then also include all of our contract requirements and our funder guidelines and sometimes city ordinances. And so kind of throw all of this into one place and then say, hey, we need a policy on TB testing. And we want it to be the same to the greatest extent possible across our 40 programs. But we know that there are going to be some differences too, so let us know about that. And then the goal, we're just in beta testing right now, is that it will give us the policy and the template that we feed it.
Yeah.
And it will get us about 80 or 90% of the way to great. And then we use our staff or community experts to get us the rest of that way to 100%. But when we look across all of our programs and all of the policies and all of the different uh, expectations or rules or laws that we need to comply with, it could take staff years to
Mhm.
do this in a way that we are building this AI tool to do in hours once we kind of get it lifted up. So super excited to harness the
I
power.
love that you laughed when you said, or kind of chuckled when you said, feed it. That's exactly what you got to do. Got to feed it the data. So I can tell that you're an AI expert almost because you're talking the AI language. Like we got to feed the data into the system. So yes, no, I love it, and it is true when you really use it for the good. Realizing how much time it does save. There's so many things that just drives us crazy as an organization. It's like if someone could just do these pieces, we can show up, where we really want to show up and do more of the things that we really want to do. And it looks like you guys are finding the ways on how to do that. How do we continue to be on the front line and let the back end just kind of almost work on itself? Because that's where the fun part is where we get to really work with people. I don't want to be looking at papers and dealing with computers. That's not the stuff we want to do. So I hear you. I'm so happy that you guys are in that process.
Yeah.
What other things do you think that when you, for the line of work that you guys do in AI, is there anything else you've heard or could even imagine where it could help out?
Ooh, I would love so kind of as you joked about, nobody loves documentation, right? Nobody, almost nobody, I think, loves paperwork, right? But it is a really important part of our work. And when we work with people, we need to document that, right? We need to understand what we do. We need to understand the impact. We have an amazing impact and learning team that digs into those more research and data focused questions.
Hmm.
But we can only do a great analysis when we have great information, right? And so I would love to keep exploring a way that we can use, safe, privacy protected, note takers, or other AI tools to do the documentation part
Hmm.
of what our staff are doing with our clients to again preserve their time to do the work, right? The direct services that we're doing, and not write, as many notes themselves. So that's something that I think, is starting to happen within the ecosystem, right? When I go to my doctor now, she's like, "Hey, do you mind if I have this AI note taker?" And I was like, "Great, you just get to focus on me." Yes.
Yeah.
Um, so that is another dream.
when I speak to healthcare leaders, that's one of the things I'm most surprised of is like, what? The experience is going to be so different when I go see my doctor. You get to talk to me and look at me. You know what I look like now? So many
Yes.
times, right? They're just talking to you and you're here and they're just, probably don't, you leave the room, they don't know what hair color you had, what eye color, what shirt you had on, because that's just how into these notes. So I do love, even for the board meeting, like when we have virtual meetings, to have a note taker in the room, easy to take a transcript and says, hey, give us everything that we need to work on, or like it's just in seconds. I used to say the Amazon effect, but now it's like the Chat GPT effect. Like you get this instantly. Is it a good thing? Yes and no, because then I feel like now people's expectations start to change, right? Because now they know that you can get things a little faster. Expectations change. But I'm happy that you guys are really kind of dip into it. And you're a leader that in reality, you could stay in the clouds if you wanted to, but you keep your feet doing the frontline work as always. So why does that matter to you so much?
Yeah, it's so important. And I think sometimes maybe forgotten about a little bit. But for me, I can't be the leader I aspire to be if I don't understand what my staff are experiencing in the
Mm-hmm.
real. Um, right? If I'm not sitting at the front desk and noticing that, the arm of the chair is like all torn apart, and then like those are the things that sometimes people are just like, well, this is the way it is, right? And I'm like, no, let's get you a good chair. Like, oh my God. we, we can do that.
It makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah. And so, uh, yeah, it's really important for me to understand that real, right? And
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I can even simply just having a conversation with folks to be like, what's top of mind? What do you wish you had a magic wand to change? If if you're not like in the moment and experiencing it with them, then those opportunities are easy to lose track of.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's important to do the doing with my staff, and not just for show, right? But when we opened our newest interim supportive housing site in San Jose, we were still ramping up our staff when we started welcoming clients. And so I got to do an intake, which is what we call intakes welcomes, right? Just trying to be really accessible and um, yeah, mindful of our language. And I had I knew the paperwork, but I hadn't done a welcome with a client before. And so I was like trying to set up the room and making sure there was like water and that like, our seating felt comfortable and I wasn't being overwhelming. And, then I met the client and I was like, hey, this is my first time doing a welcome. Just, if I'm like a little clunky, I apologize in advance. And he was like, okay, like we got this. And I was just so sweet and thoughtful. And, it was a moment where we ask all the things we have to ask and we go through the rules and like we work to do it in as open and transparent and like not threatening way as we can. But when I think about what I asked that person to share with me, their experiences, their diagnoses, their, history, we had just met, right? And so it was such really a reminder of if I'm not real and I'm not offering uh, if I'm not showing that I am trustworthy and that I'm not actively trying to create a safe space, how could I ever expect somebody who just met me to be able to share their real? And it's a situation where I have all of the power and they have none, right? I'm like holding
Yeah.
this safe housing opportunity in my hands. And just really trying to honor that and earn their trust, right? To not take any of that for granted. Um, and it was through that experience that this client shared that he has a 10-year-old daughter. And he was asking, could she visit him? And we're kind of going through this as an adults only site, but she can, kind of see the space from the parking lot. And he was like, no, it's good. He's like, it's he said, I can't wait to tell her that I'm going to be in a safe place, that she doesn't have to worry about me being on the street.
Wow.
And just recognizing not only is this opportunity changing the day-to-day reality of this client, but also impacting all of his loved ones. Um, just you don't necessarily see that.
Yeah. So very involved in not just one person's life, but in everybody's life, right? People that just kind of need that reset, that restart. That you guys are part of that. I ask for leadership's thoughts when you think about things that you did not learn in a boardroom or in a classroom, because your leadership style is very different, and I love it. But what are some of the things that you felt that you did not learn actually in a boardroom or in a classroom that you truly just still instill in others and share with others?
Um, Absolutely. So I hope that this has changed since I've been in a classroom, but just being able to make mistakes and seeing mistakes as a sign of strength and not as a sign of weakness. That was something that was never talked about. And again, it kind of like felt like I always had to be perfect and that there was one right way to do things. And now I'm like, there's so many ways to do things and they all have shades of
Hmm.
right in them, right? So what is my approach and how can I keep checking in with folks if my approach is working for them? Right? To like have that as as a true partnership and understanding. I also wish I think it's kind of connected, but I wish I somebody told me that people in powerful positions, right, with titles, with money, they're just people. Like there's not
Yeah.
right, like they're not necessarily any different, and so like they're not on a pedestal. You don't need to put them on a pedestal. Just be real, and respectful, right, and all of that good stuff. But I think I felt um, like, oh, they're just
Too
they're
far.
different in this like
Yeah.
magical unicorn way, and I don't think that's
You're
true.
right. I think that from young ages, thinking if you don't get an A, then are you really good enough? Right? You didn't get 100, so that means you didn't do well. You only got an 89. You could do better. It's like it's like they want you to always be at 100, and it's not always the case. That's not true. And just continue to show up. If that's how I look at it, continue to show up. You'll continue to learn. Opportunities will present themselves, and I don't know that we've had those conversations enough as we're in the school system as well. So now you are right. They should teach that. It's okay to get a C. Hey, this maybe next time you get a B. It's good, But so I mean, especially I think our parents. I think about my mom was probably lenient, but there's parents that you didn't get an A. Like, what do you mean? So it's also at home as well. I think it's a little bit of both, but it goes back to just how we're kind of taught these things for so long, and they really were never right. Then it creates so much anxiety and depression and all these different things. And that's a whole nother conversation. Okay, we can go down there. We're not gonna go down there. No, I appreciate this conversation because it has truly sh- shared gems for other leaders. We're in a space where the country is living in like, what do I supposed to do? But when they get to hear raw conversations like this, it's like, listen, you're not alone in some of these conversations, right? We all have great programs, but I'm pretty sure there's also those times it's like, oh my God, these programs could be cut, as well. Where do you guys, when we think about today's society in this space, do you feel that AI could help? Going back to AI, you think it can help in this space? Because a lot of people are just like, we have to start to cut things, but I think this is a great time where tools and these resources could be to our benefit. Like for those that are maybe not involved into AI, what is your message to them? Because I think there's also fear around the word AI. People are scared of it, but it's been around for a very long time. What are your thoughts and what are the words you say to people that may be in that space of just fear?
Understand what they're afraid of, right? Like, is it around replacing jobs? Is it around um, not controlling private information? Like, is it? I could be many different things, right? So
Hmm.
understanding what is at the heart of that fear And then, uh, is it is that fear based in reality, right? Like, what are the chances of that actually coming true? And I know for us, the ways that I think of harnessing AI, it won't be replacing people, but it will
Hmm.
be um, creating more time, hopefully, for us to do the work that AI can't do, right? All of
Yep.
that human touch and understanding. And so, how can I, especially in times where often nonprofits are being asked to do more, but without more resources, for
Hmm.
us to keep getting savvier around preserving our staff to do the work that must be done and only they can do, and kind of yeah, easing that administrative burden that we also need to comply with, but uh, we can do a little differently.
Okay. And what's the heart and hustle in your leadership today? Like, how do you keep those both alive?
Yeah, yeah. So I think one of the ways that I do it is I keep thinking about what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, and is it working, right? So
Mm.
one of the things I've started doing is what I call my Monday message. And I wear a social justice work appropriate t-shirt every Monday. I have like a whole little collection of them at this point. And my 5-year-old helps me like pick out which one to wear. And it's my way of showing like an active resistance
Mm.
in that moment, showing my staff and everyone who sees me where I stand on things, that I am someone who's safe and an ally for them. And if I can start a conversation or start someone thinking, that to me is kind of connecting both that heart and hustle um, in our world.
Love that. I love that. I love also that you have this 5-year-old that is so involved into that, right? Like you're teaching her so many good things already. She doesn't even know it yet, but she's gonna take all these skills and everything that mom has taught her and the things she was able to see and implement it in life. And I think it's always cool because it's not really about us. It's about those that come after us, whether it's our kids, whether it's other young leaders, whether it's those that we touch, like you mentioned in the conversation. Because there's been so many times, as you mentioned, I'll wear a shirt that says "Know Your Worth," right? And people would just like, I was one time I remember going to a restaurant. I walk in just to pick up my food, and he's like, "Yeah, I know my worth," and I just starts yelling, and I'm like, "Yes, I love it," right? Because it allows people to go back into these moments that sometimes they wouldn't think, and for someone as bold as you to just kind of wear it on their chest. I love that as well. I wear this shirt that says "adopted." I was adopted, so I wear it, proudly. It says "adopted" on it, and my neighbor says, "Man, I love your shirt. I love that you just walk around saying that you're adopted." I was like, "Because it's a conversation starter. There's so many of us, and it's almost like when you find out someone else is adopted, it's almost like this long lost brother or sister. Like, oh, you're adopted too. That's so cool." But when I was young, it was something that was not cool, right? But it is actually pretty cool when you think about it. So I love that you do that, and it is a conversation starter, and it makes people's day. Just doing things like that. Listen, we have to start to wrap things up here. But when we think about where can we follow what you guys are doing, not just the organization, but also if you can mention your LinkedIn. Like I'm pretty sure you're on LinkedIn. I don't know if you're active on there, but we want to be able to follow you. We want to be able to follow the organization and look at those resources. What does that look like? What are those usernames and URLs?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Life Moves is lifemoves.org, all one word,
Mhm.
nothing fancy or hard. And I am on LinkedIn at Anat Leonard. And so you can search me and would love to connect with folks. And just, whether we're kind of in your backyard or if there are other nonprofits, this is a time just to connect. If you have a question, if you're not really sure, if you're wondering how to get involved or what even being involved could look like, this is a great time to kind of lean in and be curious. Um, and uh, and sometimes it's as simple as giving a smile to someone you pass on the street.
Truly is. You ready to be in the hot seat? I have a great question for my last leader, Maylee. from Live Well, actually, livewell.org. So if you guys want to check that out for those that are listening. But I have a great blind question. You ready?
Yes.
What's one value or belief you lead with now that would have surprised your younger self?
Ooh. I, I think
Told you it was going to be a good one.
it's a value I've already shared with this, which is the authenticity. I think like I went to social work school, right? I feel like we just talked about boundaries all the time. Like have this wall, don't reveal yourself, don't overshare. Like it's about them, not you. And that is true, but I don't know if it was my interpretation, but woof, those walls went high and thick. And it took me a long time to understand that if I wasn't letting my true self out, then I couldn't let other people's true self in, right? That it worked both
Mhm.
ways. And that's something I wish I had known earlier. And I think my younger self would be surprised.
Okay. And what is your blind question to the next leader we have here on the Heart Hustle?
Yes. What is a challenging, uh, risky step you took or decision you made, and why? How did you approach that decision? And looking back on it, what do you think?
That's a good question because, people don't take enough risks. So I would love to know what those risks are.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Guys, this has been such a great conversation with Anat, and all we ask is that you guys do the small things that truly make a difference. Like, share, subscribe, let people know that these organizations do exist. That there's leaders out there that are truly making a difference in our world, and not asking for a paycheck, asking to just give back. Doing it out of purpose because they truly love what they do. This is not it doesn't feel like work. Every time I speak to another leader, I'm always just so impressed on how people say, "Man, I love this. I'm so happy." And sometimes I hear I should have done this sooner, because it does definitely fill our cup. So whether it's volunteering, whether it's donating, money, whatever it may look like, just start somewhere. Liking, subscribe, and commenting. My name's Efrain. This has been Anat. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Laters.